Hey guys, and welcome to a new series I'm doing. I'm calling it the Community Spotlight, which is basically a couple of different ideas that I actually was going to do as their own separate videos, but I decided to bring them all together into one because it makes more sense as they share one thing in common, which is bringing you guys, the viewers, together. And basically, it's all this series is going to be all about you guys. Nothing really about me. I might give some feedback, but let me explain to you what it's going to be about. Basically, each episode of this series is going to be 3 different parts. The first part is going to be my choice for the channel of the week, which is basically going to be a plug to a single channel, which I'm going to try and pick channels which I'm not subscribed to, or at least not yet, that I feel deserve more subscribers, more viewers, and I think you guys should check out. So that's going to be the first part. Second part is going to be called From the Forums, which I pick a single topic from my message boards at Pete'sGameRoomForum.com. And this topic is going to be, an interesting discussion where I'm going to pick a couple of replies to the topic, and I'm going to, read them off in a generalized, I'm going to shorten them a little bit and then give some of my input on the replies, and basically that's to get the community more involved, an incentive to post some really thoughtful comments and more, insightful replies on the message board, which is going very well right now. We're almost up to 400 members and we're about to hit 11,000 posts. The third part is going to be basically, I'm going to propose a question or a request, and I want you guys to do a quick video response. I'll get more into that later in this video, but basically it's going to be more of a way for you guys to get involved and give your thoughts and have people watch them and everything. So it should be fun. So let me get started with the first segment. Alright, so my pick for the channel of the week. I had a couple of channels in mind, but this channel that I picked really stood out to me only because of the amount of time and devotion that is put into it, and the little amount of subscribers that they have, and that is the Games and Me channel. Games and Me is unique to YouTube because you don't really see too many channels where it's a group of people coming together and sharing the same channel. But what's really cool is that it's not a group of strangers or people that just know each other online. They're a group of friends. They know each other in real life. And their channel basically will have different impressions on all different kinds of games. They do unboxings. They have they have videos, the community question of the week, where they ask you guys a question and you reply. They're really involved in their community. But what's cool is they all have their own personalities. They have their own tastes in games. So you're always going to find something different. It's hard to say it's going to be a biased channel because there's so many different people on there giving different opinions and stuff. Now, on top of their YouTube channel, they also have their website, which is www.gamesand.me, not .com, where they do podcasts. They have a couple of different podcasts on different subjects like the game industry, reviews. But aside from their website, because this is more about YouTube, I know you guys want to subscribe to YouTube channels. What they have on their YouTube channel is really great, especially they're putting out some new segments like the Angry Rivet Gamer, which is pretty fun to watch. And I especially enjoy something new that they're starting to do now, where they're starting to take samples of their podcasts and putting them into 8 to 10 minute videos on YouTube. So I think that'll actually help them out as well, getting more viewers. But I hope you guys check them out. Definitely something more unique on YouTube. Not too many channels out there do what they do and do it right. So definitely check out Games and Me and subscribe to them if you enjoy what they do. Alright, so now it's time for the From the Forums segment. And the topic that I'm choosing from the message boards is going to be from Angel of Death 1987, and the question he posed was, what do you hate in a game? Now, he didn't mean what games do you hate. He basically meant what elements and things inside of games do you guys just find annoying or you just can't stand. So the first reply that I'm going to read off, and all of these replies are kind of generalized, I can't read off entire posts, is going to be from DPower12. He hates jaggies on graphics, like in the shadows and everything like that, and he hates being given a certain amount of time to defeat, a certain amount of enemies in a given time limit. So I can't see the complaint in terms of the jaggies, because if you're playing a game on the PlayStation or something, you're going to see jaggies, and you just got to really deal with it. I mean, if that's in a game now on the 360 or the PS3, it's more of a rush job or an engine that just couldn't handle smoother graphics, but I don't really mind that too much. I can see what you mean about being given a certain time limit to defeat a certain amount of enemies, especially in a game where, it's like, alright, you have 10 minutes to defeat all these enemies, and if you lose, you gotta start back at the beginning. I mean, I can see how it kind of adds challenge, but when you're trying it for the second or third time, it starts to get annoying, so I can kind of see your complaint there. Next one is from Hartley00, and his is he hates repetition, especially like fighting in RPGs constantly, or the duck and shooting cover mechanics on a first-person shooter. He likes games that kind of mix it up a bit. And you know, that's why if you like things to stay fresh, avoid RPGs at all costs. I mean, first-person shooters, here's the thing, most games these days are, every genre is repetition. You know, racing games, you're just driving around on a track. Shooting, you're just shooting. RPGs, you're getting into constant battles. So it's kind of, I mean, a lot of games now are kind of trying to mix elements. You know, for example, Call of Duty 4 trying to bring in sort of like RPG elements with leveling up and everything like that. But at its core, you got to think, most games out there all are repetitive in their own way or another. The next one is going to come from #1 Gamer. He says he hates it when he buys a game on the first day and he's able to beat it in 5 to 6 hours and basically never wants to go back to it. To me, I'm not the type of person that, you know, I don't get that mad if I buy a 5 or 6 hour game and I beat it. If I beat a game, I'm happy. You know, I got the full experience. I got what they created and set out to do. I saw the full story. I'd rather buy a 6 or 7 hour game and complete it than buy a 40-hour game and, you know, play 10 hours, get bored of it, and never finish it. I feel more satisfied when I personally finish a game that's short. I'm the type of person that I don't really mind short games. I know some people base their entire purchase, you know, awesome games like Eco get passed up because they're short. But really, guys, you got to go out there. You got to play the short games sometimes. They're really, really worth it because the developers don't really... Most of the short games aren't padded out with needless stuff that, you know, is just there to, like, backtracking. So, the next comment comes from Nathan6694. He basically hates all RPGs, anything to do with anime. And Stinkoman Rocker 2 agrees with him, saying that, you know, the only RPGs that he's ever enjoyed are the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic games on the Xbox. Now, I mean, if you hate anime stuff, yeah, you're probably going to want to avoid RPGs. But I can see how the KOTOR, the Knights of the Old Republic games, they really do appeal to people that normally aren't in RPGs because they're kind of non-conventional in the sense that, you know, the combat isn't traditional turn-based. It has a very action-oriented feel to it because the combat is sort of like in a semi-real time where you can move your characters around, but it's still turn-based in the fact that you can't really say, okay, attack, attack, attack. You know, it's sort of Final Fantasy 12 style or like a MMORPG. So those of you out there that aren't really into anime, you don't like the anime style characters, and you're not really into turn-based RPGs because of all the grinding, check out the KOTOR games on the Xbox. And the next one is going to come from SpyKey. He says he hates games that force co-op elements such as Pokemon. I mean, what he means by this is, you know, games that basically force you to play cooperatively with a friend in order to unlock certain stuff. Like in Pokemon, you can't get all the Pokemon unless you trade with another person that has the game. Or recently that comes to mind for me is the Sonic's Ultimate Genesis collection on the PS3 and 360, where in order to unlock the original Phantasy Star game, you have to complete a level cooperatively on Sonic the Hedgehog 2, I think, or something like that. So it kind of cheats out people that, you know, what if you don't have a friend available at the time or something like that, and you want to unlock the content that's there, you can't do it, and, you know, I can see where he's going with that. And it is true that a lot of games these days are kind of leaving out the whole cooperative element or going online, so it's a little tough with that. You know, single-player games is starting to take a backseat, honestly. The next one comes from Keister. He hates tons of cutscenes or just a really long one. Trust me, avoid the Xenosaga series if you hate cutscenes, but, you know, some games cutscenes work for, and some games they don't. I mean, if a game is story-driven like an RPG, sometimes it benefits from having a lot of cutscenes to tell the story. But if you're playing, say, a shooter game, and, you know, it's a very fast-paced action shooter, you don't really want, you know, constant cutscenes with story, especially if it's one where it's really non-relevant, where the story sucks in the first place. So I can see where you're going with that. And lastly, this comment comes from BlackMog11. He hates escort missions. I can totally see where you're going with that. Basically, think of a mission where you have to bring one, you know, you're guarding somebody from point A to point B, and you're almost at the end of the level, and then the zombies and mutant werewolves come out and attack the freaking little kid and kill them, and you gotta start all over. Totally see where you're going with that one. Alright, now it's time for the video response request of the week. And basically, I just want you guys to do a couple of minute video, 1-2 minute video, on some games that you think are really underrated that no one really knows about. So don't go picking something like Sonic or Mario, but go through your game collection. See if you can find a game or two that you think no one really ever talks about, never heard of, and you found to be a good and enjoyable game. It doesn't have to be an excellent game, but something that you don't think, that some people out there have never heard of, and now, they might want to go and track it down and try it out. So just as an example, I was looking through my Genesis collection, and I found Mazin Saga Mutant Fighter, something that I almost forgot about. I forgot the name of the game, so I'm sure a lot of you out there with Genesises would really enjoy this one. It's like a 2D fighter brawler, and the boss battles take place as 2D fighters. Really, really fun game. Definitely worth tracking down. But that's just an example. You can go in more in depth than what I just did because I'm running out of time. But go through your collections, find some games that you want to share that you think other people would really enjoy. Any video responses will be accepted as long as they're on topic, guys. So post away. I'll see you guys next week.